Good afternoon. I'll call the 15th meeting of the Corporate Service Committee to order. And this is our virtual meeting during COVID-19 emergency. City Hall is open to the public with reduced capacity and physical distancing requirements. Meetings can be viewed on our live streaming on YouTube and the city website. The City of London is committed to making every effort to provide alternate formats and communication supports for council, standing or advisory committee meetings, and information upon request. To make a request of any city service, please contact accessibility at london.ca, or you can call the number 519-661-2489, extension 2425. To make a request for our specific meeting, which is the corporate service meeting, you can send us an email to csc@london.ca. I'll look for disclosures of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll go to our consent agenda. We have 2 items on our consent agenda. I'm looking to committee to see if they want to pull anything. Or you guys want to deal with it separately, or can we deal with it together? Together? Councillor Hopkins?
Yeah, I'm happy to support both of them. I do have a question, though, on 2.2. I don't think we need to pull it, but I do have a question.
I'll just look for a mover and a seconder, and then we can take your questions, Councillor Hopkins. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Hopkins, seconded by Councillor Morgan. Comments and questions? Councillor Hopkins.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So 2.2 is the website redesign and development and implementation. So that's coming to us in a few weeks, October the 7th, I think. And I know that reading the report, I did have a question around the implementation. Is it going to come to us with changes on a periodic basis, or is it going to be implemented right at the beginning? And I understand there's some flexibility around the changes, but wanted to know a little bit more about the rollout of the redesign of the website.
Thank you, and I see that Mrs. Patty is here. Maybe she can take up your questions.
Through the chair, I'm happy to answer that. So today we're actually launching what's called our beta site. So the public will have the opportunity to basically test drive the work that we've done on our new website. And we're really excited about that and looking forward to feedback that people can provide us. On October 7th, we'll be making the switch over from our existing site to the new site. But one of the key features about our new site is the amount of flexibility that it offers us. So even though we'll be launching it officially on the 7th, there's an opportunity to continue to make changes, to reflect what we're hearing back from the community, and really to even to look at site analytics to tell us what the pages are that are being visited most frequently and make adjustments to those pages so that we're putting information that the community is looking for front and center as much as possible.
Thank you for that. So any of us could go onto this site now and test it out?
Yeah, through the chair, yes. We'll be launching that very shortly. If you go to our homepage on london.ca, there'll be an image on the homepage that will launch that, and we'll also be pushing links out through our social media platforms, and there'll also be a link on our Get Involved. So we're giving people a number of ways to enter through into our new beta site and looking for as much feedback as possible on that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councillor Morgan, and then we'll go to Councillor Van Hulst.
Thank you, Chair. So my question is also on 2.2. In the expected results, one of the items that's mentioned is increased opportunities for residents to be informed, which I understand, and participate in local government. And I'm wondering if you could elaborate on what that means, what new ways or enhanced ways residents will be able to participate in local government.
Through the chair, the goal of that is really to make sure that the information is more easily accessible. So with them being able to find information related to items that they're of interest to the residents and of interest to the community, it's putting content that is timely, relevant, connected to projects that are happening at the forefront of our website. So we have a lot more flexibility to focus on and highlight things that are happening currently, as opposed to our previous site that had a bit of limitation on that. And over the past year, we've also introduced a new Get Involved platform that's an enhanced engagement platform. So the combination of a site that is really built on what our residents are doing on our website and the enhanced Get Involved site, there's more opportunities to participate in a number of different ways.
And just as a follow-up, if I could, I appreciate that, and I do like the Get Involved site. I think that's been quite effective. I was just curious on how this new website would integrate with it, but I think you've given me a taste, and I'll look forward to trying it out myself.
Any other questions, Councillor Morgan? I will go to Councillor Van Hulst.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and to our staff too. Looking at the photos, it seems like it will be more intuitive and easy to navigate, which will be much appreciated. It talks about improved accessibility, and I think that's worth a mention here. So perhaps through you, Madam Chair, to staff, they've made some comments on how our website's now going to be more accessible.
Mrs. Patty?
Through the chair, we've looked at all of the content that is on our site, and with the accessibility guideline requirements changing at January 2021, our goal is to have all of the content accessible by that point. A majority of it is accessible now, which was not the case with our previous site. So we've really looked at the guidelines for AODA and made every effort to ensure that any content that's being posted on our new site is following the guidelines that will be in place as of January 2021. So in reality, being able to launch a new website at this time has driven us to getting ahead of the guideline requirements that will be in place as of January.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That's encouraging. In our past term, we ran into a challenge with not being accessible, and I'm glad that won't be repeated. So I'd hope to get the site, and you said it was going to launch at noon. I wanted to be able to see it right away, but I'll have to wait a little bit. But nevertheless, we'll look forward to your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Hulst. Are there any other comments or questions from committee? Councillor Morgan.
Yeah, my apologies for going twice, but I actually took the opportunity to look at the new site while we were talking, since it seems like it is live on the homepage. I know you're beta testing it. The only thing I couldn't find was if someone has feedback or thoughts that they want to share, I assume you're still taking those. What's the mechanism for doing so? It wasn't just it wasn't intuitive to me just when I just clicked on there, because I'd like to share this out later today, and I just want to know where to send folks who have comments.
So the intent is that there'll be a survey link on that as well, and I'm looking at the site and seeing that it's not there. So we'll ensure that that's up this afternoon. But in the meantime, people can look at the site and test drive it. If they have any feedback before the survey piece is up, they can email communications, which is cocc@london.ca, and we can take the feedback that way in the interim.
Are there any other questions from committee? Deputy Mayor Helmer?
Thank you. Just on item 2.1, I wanted to ask through the chair. Obviously, there's a lot of operating leases that are being reported up in aggregate, most of them related to real estate, but for the ones that are not real estate, I just wanted to ask if there are any opportunities for some of those operating leases to save some costs given the impact of COVID-19. I know in many cases the agreements are structured so that there's not a whole lot of wiggle room on our end, but I thought I would ask about it. Certainly some equipment has been not used quite the way we might have expected it to have been for many, many months now.
We'll go to Mrs. Barbone.
Thank you, through the chair. If Mr. Collins may have anything else to add, he can respond. But I think at this point, most of that, the operating equipment is just the completion of the phase-in of primarily our computer equipment. That was, we used to have a strategy where we would lease equipment, and now we've gone to a purchase. based on cost benefit analysis that was done in previous years. So as you'll see, that's gone down significantly, and we are definitely winding all of those down. So we certainly looked at what opportunities there is to try to eliminate those entirely, but I think there's not a whole lot remaining that we can change in the interim in the very short period, but we're certainly continuing to look at those. If there's anything else, I think those actually finalized this year. So at the completion, there's really nothing left going into the end of this year for any other leases other than through our operating leases for real estate.
Adding to Ms. Barbone's comments through the chair, a lot of the operating leases that we still have on record relate to our print room and our print with the printers that we have throughout our facilities. And we periodically review and rationalize the needs through our colleagues at ITS to ensure that our printing needs are met by the organization. Thank you.
Any follow-up
Thank
questions?
you. Sorry, I should have maybe been a bit more specific, because is really the printers that I wanted to ask about. And I just wonder if there's been any discussions. I had the unfortunate situation of having to wrangle some of these leases in the past before I was a city councillor. And I know that the terms are not usually particularly easy, but have there been any other opportunities to avoid some of the fixed costs that come with those leases? I imagine of many things, the printers have been somewhat more idle than they have been in previous years.
Through the chair to committee, with COVID-19, we are still recalibrating the work office environment. And as the contracts come up, we will be reviewing them. And from my recollection, we have just did a change out with our printer provider through RICO. So we're going to continue to watch and monitor how COVID-19 plays out and what its impact is on the workforce and the work environment, and adjust accordingly. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? It's been moved and seconded, and we will call to question. Councillor Van Hulst,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Helmer,
Yes.
Councillor Morgan,
Yes.
and Councillor Hopkins. And,
Sorry about that,
it's
Councillor
okay.
Morgan. Yes.
Okay, did you forget your name there? It's okay. And I vote yes.
She just wanted.
We didn't catch that.
Closing the vote, the motion's passed 5-0.
I said Councillor Hopkins just wanted to make sure I voted the right way.
No, we'll go to, we don't have any scheduled items, so we'll go to our items of direction. Once again, we can either move them together or we can move them separately. Councillor Van Hulst. You have to unmute yourself, Councillor Van Hulst.
Yes, I'm happy to move both these items for approval.
Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Van Hulst, seconded by Deputy Mayor Helmer. And any comments or questions? Councillor Hopkins.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I know we've been receiving proclamations just about every agenda, and I always take the opportunity of doing a little bit of research and learning a little bit more about the groups and organizations that we have in the City of London. So always feel that I look at these proclamations and do my due diligence, and happy to support these two proclamations.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. I also agree with Councillor Hopkins that this is truly a learning moment for all of us, and that's what the proclamation was intended for. So it brings awareness to us and to the entire community as well. So happy to see this go forward. I will call to question now if there's no other comments or questions from committee. Councillor Van Hulst.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Helmer.
Yes.
Councillor Morgan.
Yes.
Councillor Hopkins.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Closing the vote, the motion's passed 5-0.
And we have no deferred matters list, and we do not have any closed session agenda today, so this really brings us to the end of our meeting. I'll look for someone to adjourn. Counselor Hopkins, seconded by Counselor Morgan, and I'll call to question. Counselor Benhos.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hummer.
Yes.
Counselor Morgan.
Yes.
Counselor Hopkins.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Closing the vote, the motion's passed 5-0.
And that concludes our shortest meeting yet. You guys have a great afternoon.
You too, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too. Thanks.
Goodbye.